stage. Yes, it is me and Mifflin on the call between the set of Oni Warriors and Hex Mambo. Winner is going to the World Championships. Miff, look at the compositions. How do you feel about these drafts?
See, this is the issue that I had with Hex Mambo during the regular season. I was concerned that drafts like this, which have served them very well during the EU SEC,
a spicy start. Let's see.
Against the SPL. It is so late game slanted.
Yep.
If I'm Cuvo Fred right now, I'm thinking to myself, two phenomenal targets to run down in the early, and neither one of them can help each other.
And you're looking Kronos Kernanos, I'm guessing?
No, I'm looking Kronos Mercury. Get active in the jungle, chase out Johnny, make sure he isn't able to tick over to 5 and make it miserable for Nika or Vote in their lanes, or potentially move in towards zeros, force Johnny to rotate in.
Trix is spam taunting.
There are certainly avenues in. I'll be keeping my eye.
Fucking miss Trix, bro.
Almost throughout the entirety of this.
Me and Trix go way back.
Neil and Trix just face checking each other there to protect the purple.
Me and Trix go way back.
To make sure no invades really happen between the two. As we look around the map of the matchups here, Tyr versus Guan Yu, most of the time should be a stalemate lane for the most part there, Miff?
I think so. I mean, Guan Yu a little bit susceptible, like level 1 through 4.
Yep.
A rotation from Johnny with the help of Deathwalker could really make it difficult for Nika, but once ultimates become available to both, that CC immunity, the sustain starts to build up, both will be moving in towards defense, then you lose a bit of that potential. So
You helped on green, then went to red.
Would have to be in the next
Vote started red.
Well, duo lane,
And Cubo sold the green.
Get a bit of pressure early on with the Kernanos and Sobek. They would definitely outclear the likes of the Atlas and the Cupid in these early stages. That cripple field, though, that Vote brings to this fray will cause some problems. There's quite a bit of cripple, actually.
Atlas pull's so annoying.
Whirlpool in mid from Dardes here. Do you think there's a lot of pressure on Dardes on this Poseidon pick? The Des was kind of saying that already.
Well, when Kraken is your best follow-up tool, your only real source of consistent burst damage as well, I think you could put some pressure on Dardes to be sure. But Dardes thrives in situations like this, and it's a composition.
He's like a good defensive support. Like,
it's
hard to go play a tower line against a Sobek, you know what I mean? Because of the pluck. So he's like very good at evening out pressure, if that makes sense. Although they have Kernanos, so right now I would say he's like potentially a kill lane.
You go into rewind. Kraken comes out fast enough, you can line it up.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's why we saw some of the bans come the way of Scylla, for example, as another one who's very good at dealing with that. In the early game, though, pressure for the mid lane for Oni Warriors at the moment with that Poseidon and Najar composition. Cuvo now rotating to the right-hand side, and you called this, Myth, moments ago about maybe an early rotation into this lane, but it's not against Nika. It's looking at Deathwalker, who blinks in to the damage of the Sash of Deathwalker, but it's not enough to bring down a kill.
Was he trying to, like, I think he was trying to blink.
On the left-hand side.
I think he was trying to blink. Push him. It's a tower, but Cubo sashed at the same time.
Scream about there, but Cubo back on the right-hand side is Deathwalker and Johnny. They're trying to get some pressure back on this lane. Sash onto Deathwalker connects, and Deathwalker will limp back towards his tier 1 tower.
One of the strengths of tier is that CC doesn't necessarily work so well against him. You are limited in how long it can apply, and DR stacks with it as well, so Deathwalker not so concerned about that situation. It is worth noting, I didn't realize until now, the relic disparity.
Like your rank? What are you talking about, bro?
It's blinking
it's 2 minutes into the game.
Tells me he wants to get involved in that mid 3v3 a little bit more so, could alleviate some of those woes. I was
Samula, what's up, my boy?
Mercury
Thank
not
you so much.
having the fight in him, at least in the early game. Deathwalker, if he is there, should be able to help out a bit. Whereas Nika teleporting first slot. Upgrade that to a heroic early on, could look towards Gold Fury, which is one way to force those fights up against things like Kronos. If he's going to sit in his tower, farm up, go for the multi-stack build that he's been doing all week
What's up, Josh?
You can force him to rotate into a fight by establishing pressure and generating threat around these POIs.
Chill him.
And on the right side too, I mean, with that teleport advantage, hold that 4-0s in mid, has to beads to try and avoid some of the damage. Not level 5 for the rewind yet, but the beads consumed for the Kraken. Not the worst case scenario for Oni Warriors there, even though they don't find the kill. But Zero's now having his rewind.
Zero's going to be target number 1 for the next 2 minutes.
A bit more to bring him down.
I don't know, just connect the Sash. If he's not rewinding Sash...
Yeah, I have no delay on my stream, basically.
So good point. Dardes could have the follow-up just on damage alone from the first ability or the Whirlpool. Don't necessarily need the Kraken this early on. Could be a concern for him. I think Zero's going to play very safe going forward.
You were talking about relics, and you can just see Nika did go back to base momentarily and get the teleport, and has upgraded the teleport all the way already. Is that a huge sign for you if it's going all the way up that quick?
I don't think it's not all the way just yet. He just got the cooldown back. That's a tier 2 teleport.
Oh, it looks like 3 to me. There's 3 dots there.
I know. That's
Man,
design.
These spectator issues, I'm too old these days.
Got to talk to Aggro about it.
I mean, jeez. God, have you seen Maui? Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Too good.
5 pools.
So good it's banned the whole time. Well, it should be anyway.
I agree.
Alongside Ishtar. In this one, though, no kills just yet. And no surprises there's no kills just yet, because this is a very EU endeavor between two teams made up majority of European players. And the playstyle of Mambo really is lean into that late game, get their carries online. The real question is, how much of a clock are the Warriors really on this game?
A significant one. It's Kronos, who is a clock on his own, and Mercury as well. Johnny, very capable of dominating the map, but doesn't necessarily need to do it. If they get to the late game, Hex Mambo, from an even state, I mean, that is awful for the Oni Warriors. Both of them generating so much threat would split the attention of the Oni Warriors dive. If Nika has to
I wish my support could play Sobek, bro.
Sobek's so fucking good. You only have the one bracket for follow-up on these CCs as well. Could be that if Hex Mambo can keep instilling this slow pace, that the Oni Warriors will feel forced to take a fight from a more early standpoint or even a more even standpoint as well. I think Gold Fury really one of your best bets, but as of now, dual lane has been holding their own very well for Hex Mambo. A very strong lane to maybe control some of that pressure the Oni Warriors like to play through, thanks to that Cupid. I'll be keeping my eyes on it, but as of now, the pace certainly favoring Mambo.
First couple of bases coming through, the first real bases of the game coming through. Book of Thoth now online for Dardes, already stacking away in that mid lane. Same can be said for Eco.
Didn't you win semis off a 6 7 clock? I did. In Pittsburgh Knights, yeah.
That wave, giving a bit of an advantage there.
Yo, Ronnie, what's up, baby?
Picked up for Nika too, so that cooldown reduction favored in this game. Was a little talk on the desk about some healing in this game. Sure, Guan Yu has it naturally, but Vote and Cubo Fred provide a little bit. Do you expect a lot of anti-heal worries this game? Is it a really big thing to focus on so far?
I think you'll definitely
play it next week.
Anti-heal pretty strong as a stat line, but all the
Daniel's going fast? Yeah. I kind of want to get it over with, bro. I want Worlds to come and go already, bro.
You're so worried about it.
Blink from Trix into a pluck attempt onto Neil Mar. No one was really in the area to get a kill there. Johnny's on a potential rotation over here. Then Chrome uses his ultimate too. A lot of pressure on Niels. It didn't really amount to anything.
No, Hex Mambo, they're playing the mental battle. I mean, we heard it in the interview as well. Just trying to scare
off. Dual main, true.
Mental battle in mid as Johnny gets hit by the slash from Cuvo. Beads consumed, as was the Windfire wheels out of Cuvo Fred. So Bees exchange in the mid lane means that Naja, little bit less likely to go for some ganks for a moment, return to the jungle and start fighting, and maybe Ekrom again. Well, sorry, Johnny again, I should say, didn't miss the slash, but the ring toss.
Ooh, Fred got like all of that.
Pressure is to the right-hand side, blue buff.
Blue buff invade looked at Johnny on the rotation in, but it's Deathwalker over the wall.
Ooh, that's big. Oh my god, if he can pluck the Naja.
Around the side as the pluck onto Cubo.
Oh, Fred, Trix doesn't have ult. Oh no.
Better. And Dardes gets first blood for the Oni.
Trix didn't have his ult, bro.
Hanging around in lane, looking for an avenue if it was there for the ultimate down the lane.
Yo, because he wasted his if he had ult there, he was chilling.
Safely for Deathwalker there. Not to be said for Trixtank, who takes the first tumble of the game.
Yeah, I didn't think that Trixtank using
crazy how like one mistake
bite him so quickly.
Yeah, it came back and bit him. That's crazy,
He's just not worried about that situation. You can work your way out pretty easily. Seemed to me to be a bit of a desync in the decision making of Hex Mambo. Trixtank says, "Let's fight," as he's apt to do. Trixtank never shying away from an engagement. Johnny and Deathwalker say, "We already got the blue buff. There's not much to fight over here." Oni Warriors first blood, an easy pickup, but where does it land? Not a problem target. Dardes getting a first blood, stacking up that Book of Thoth a bit quicker as well. Should be able to outscale this Kronos throughout the mid game.
Oh yeah.
Just get that slight boost. That's tough stuff.
But the clock is working in Oni's favor for the time being. We've not really touched on the tier pick for Deathwalker, but last tournament we really saw him play that. He made game-changing plays on it, and this is the set to do it.
The Hounds were really good. They should have won game 4, but they fell apart, bro.
The Kernanos Cupid battle, and one we've seen a little bit more of this year.
That Naja had no patience.
As Deathwalker's on the proxy, Lawbringers into Nika. Surprise! There's a Guan Yu, but is there enough damage to bring him down? The cavalry charge used to keep the pace going, but the stun did not connect. Neither does the slash. And Deathwalker just jukes himself around.
What the fuck?
Away, relatively unscathed.
I can't believe not a single stun connects with them there. Hex Mambo, they've got attention on the Oni Warriors on right, so Gold Fury under threat.
Trying to burst it down there before Vote and the Poseidon can get there too. Fields of Love
It's
dropped
rolled.
by Vote, and Vote holds the Gold Fury. Very risky. Warriors get it. I think that was a whirlpool out of the Poseidon there. Darnus hits the Kraken on Trix Tank. Not enough damage to speak about to bring him down. Zero's now surrounded. Sonic Boom from Johnny comes on through, trying to rip to the back line.
Fred's gonna live.
Trying to get to
Oh, what a
Of
fight.
his life. Everybody survives other than the Gold Fury. Which, honestly, I thought Onis were making a bad mistake by continuing to hold that, but they did
Look how quick Johnny goes to invade. What a jungler. He knows how to play the game.
Got hit, I believe, 3 with Sonic Boom. Things go much worse there for Hex Mambo as well. But take a peek at the Relic landscape. It is a graveyard for both of these teams.
That was a crazy
One
skirmish.
team's got better setup and follow-up at this portion of the game. I think Oni Warriors not only take a win in the fight, but they take a win in the next couple of minutes as well. So long as Cubo Fred can find somebody with these Windfire wheels.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Hex Mambo saw the base out of Dardas in mid lane there and went, hey, we can go gold while the Kraken's not available, and did rotate in, but Vote, Neilmar were unseen in good enough time to cause a problem for them, and Hex Mambo make a small mistake there.
Bro, imagine not using the baby Fuwa Cupid skin.
In the Warriors' favor.
But with this type of composition, a 1,000 gold lead, not something you're concerned about just yet. Acceptable losses.
Yeah.
If you're scaling this hard in the late game, I'm thinking 3, 4K 20 minutes in, you're still not so concerned. You just got to keep it.
Turned it in
light.
invades. He's in. That guy should have invaded. I would have invaded.
Unfortunately for
Got
Hex
the buff
Mambo,
and kill
Warriors
Cupid.
could just rotate over towards Pyro. Because Poseidon is essentially a pseudo auto attacker out of mid.
If I was Kurnos, I'd be like, guys, anyone rotate to purple? Anybody? No, F6. Fuck this game. I'm done scrimming. That would be me.
Interesting there in mid lane for Dardas as he hits level 12, gets his secondary relic online, the first player to hit level 12 so far. Opted for the shell here instead of the maybe we may have expected to see. Do you think it's going to be more influential for him this game? Why do you think he's gone there?
Guys, anyone? Hello? Anybody?
Of it, I suppose, but as the game goes on, how the damage doesn't line up from Hex Mambo, Aegis would help out a whole lot. Eventually, Zeros is just going to pick up Poly and deal 1,000 damage with an auto.
Did you see on buff, did he?
Shell will help a bit. It'll help
I
a
didn't
little bit
see.
with that, but
Let's look at that chat.
might want Aegis.
This grouping from Onis, though, smells that they might be looking for this Pyromancer. Darda's going to pull it. Neilmar and Cubo Fred alongside. Trix and Zero seems to know what's going on, but Johnny and his speed buff right now don't think they're going to be able to do much to stop this in the end. Onis get it as the blink comes in. Pluck off the mark. Has to
Look how good Sobek is. He could just ult and immune everything.
Still looking for something, though. Here is Zeros from mid. Needs to watch out for Vote, who's made a rotation from the duo lane. Neilmar can't connect, but the rewind is full thanks to the Fields of Love. And where is Zeros now? Well, he's hit by a sash. He's hit by a Windfire wheels.
Why the fuck is Zeros in Narnia, bro?
A man on a horse waiting for him. Dardas credited with a kill.
The Oni Warriors just outpacing on maps so well. Every single engagement dictated by the SPL veterans. You want to play around gold? We will. You want to go ahead and go for the Pyromancer? They're there. And Hex Mambo have not got the resources just yet to start fighting back in. Some significant power spikes have been hit. Rage for Johnny means he could just sneaky land 2 crits and he'll remove someone from the map.
He got it!
Now,
I think. No, he did. Oh my god, I thought he got it.
Who've done all they can.
You see how Deathwalker just making space for Johnny to run around and farm everything? Go to the speed buff.
Will they get a reprieve though? Because look at
I think Fred got that.
Inside, chasing down Chrome, who will escape the Kraken.
Pretty sure Fred got that.
Inside, you saw Johnny contesting there up against Cubo in the jungle too. Still has the Sonic Boom available, but Chrome escapes. Does cause him to use his beads and his Aegis though, so that dual lane a little bit susceptible to further ganks for the next couple of minutes.
Fred got 2 out of 3, and Fred got the big one.
But Chrome, not the slightest of which I think should be under threat very shortly. We're about a minute out from Gold Fury, and it's about 2 minutes.
Bro, no cap, this Chrono's gonna be fucking dog shit all game. Straight up, he ain't gonna do it. He ain't gonna do a single thing this whole game.
Nice start for the Oni Warriors.
This stage of the game, though, when you look at the Gold Fury pit and it's going to be the Oni Fury coming up, would you rather an Oni Fury at this stage or a Primal be contested?
Yeah, this Chrono Shinta, the Shronos would be one-shotting everybody. The Shronos would be popping off. I'm just saying this Cronus in particular.
When you're getting ready for fire, and it's a bit early for that.
Vote getting aggressive here, looking for a purple buff. We'll need some support from
Johnny.
Neilmar as Trix Tank and Echrome try and do battle, but Vote actually gets a good Fields of Love off onto Echrome. Johnny Sonic Boom gets him in range enough to focus onto Vote, but in comes Dardas and Cubo Fred. And Dardas gets credit.
Look how, God, I wish I was Vote, bro. Look how much help he gets.
And the chase is now on for Echrome.
Look how much help he gets.
They know he's got no Aegis. And guess what? He's got no life. On landing, Trickstank is waiting. Oh, he can't find the pluck again to pull one into tower. Oni Warriors are starting to pull away with this game.
The Warriors are just grouping way harder. The Hex Mambo, I mean, again, you can't exactly meet them 4-on-4. Because your 4 is comprised.
Dude, do you see how Dardes is rotating everywhere?
They're getting very strong already. Hex Mambo have got to figure out some way to slow down this pace. Already, they've got a defensive line of wards throughout that entire left side jungle. So they're privy to the rotation from the Warriors and think maybe they had an opportunity to fight in. I think it should have been more so about the disengage, because this is what we were worried about.
Well, they do have Kraken available from Dardes here to secure if they need it.
Did you see how Dardes rotated to the purple instead of doing his own red?
Even go in and try and contest makes a lot of sense. Right, it's lurking in the waters around, and that Oni Fury goes.
I'm learning so much from this set.
Warriors, as the Trebuchet now pushes down left-hand side, and this has just been slowly meandering into Oni's favor as time's gone on.
I wouldn't even call it slow at this point.
That's
I mean,
true, actually. Yeah,
Nika got it.
For the two teams involved, I expected it to be a little bit of a slower endeavor for the first 20
There's Cheetah doing that, exactly.
Of the Oni Warriors. It's not allowing Hex Mambo to farm up. It's don't let them play their own pace. Drag them into yours. And so far, the Oni Warriors have done a phenomenal job of it. Maybe the best thing is they've desynced the neutral objectives. Generally in this position, with this style of draft, Hex Mambo would just go to Pyro if the Oni Warriors group up on gold. Won't come, and it won't come ever.
Yeah, my AC dies in 1 second.
We are in a best of 5 as the beats consumed by Zeros.
Oh, hit a pluck.
Mid-lane.
Yo, Blackbeard, thank you for gifting Rania a sub.
Best of 5, game 1. It's a good telltale of where the state of the set is coming into it. But things change in picks and bans relatively quick in series like this. Deathwalker still continuing to try and bully to the back camps and the jungle of Oni Warriors here, but Guan Yu on Nika doing a much better job of staying ahead in level.
It'll be here for after he hits 20.
Uh-oh. He's got his relics.
And it was a very good ultimate sonic boom onto Vote from Johnny, and Vote's in a ton of trouble here. Not enough to bring him down just yet. Johnny gets the kill, feels love, connects, followed by the sash and a Cubo Fred.
Yo, Neil, hit something, bro.
Jungler, but Johnny will end up falling down here.
Yo, keep fighting. Kick the fuck in there, Echrome, bitch ass.
Neil Mar into the weighted clutches of his carries, and it's a 2-for-1 in favor of the Warriors so far.
Zero's finally able to
Neil tried to predict the dash.
Yeah, Mambo.
Neil, did you see Neil turn around? Because he tried to predict the dash, that's why.
We're now level 15 on your Chronos. You've got that Book of Thoth stacked up, a little bit of penetration.
What happened?
Ruin.
He did a complete 180.
Just go immediately into the Polynomicon next, and then all of a sudden you can actually start playing around your mid laner. It's no longer a liability in the early. Certainly not as strong as Poseidon just yet, but we're starting to get to the point where Zeros can get involved.
Zeros, he could be in danger here as Cubo Friend and Dardes combine, and the sash stops the Aegis.
Kronos, wow.
Zeros and confirms another kill.
Roddy, do you want me on ban him? I'll ban him. I don't care.
For Hex Mambo to be exploited is Zeros in the mid lane. He likes to farm up in the early game. He plays relatively safe gods, but if you keep poking him over and over again and forcing him back to base, even technical knockouts really start to hit his mental.
Okay.
And cause
whatever my team wants.
For Hex Mambo to weather this storm.
Yeah.
Look at the despair of the mid laners as well. 0-2-1 for Zeros. 3 levels down, not an ideal situation. Dardes 3 levels up at 18 already. 4 of the 6 effective kills. And power spiking.
This Chrono's gonna be so who's this Chrono's gonna kill, bro? Who's he gonna go on? He's gonna 3 the Guan, and once the Guan gets 3, the Guan's gonna ult, and Chronos is gonna die.
Zeros really needs both relics if he wants to survive. If it's just the one, I think the Oni Warriors can work through it.
Yeah, I think that's all for Dardes, as you were saying. It's going to be a bit more impactful onto the targets of that Sobek.
What's his thing again?
Tyr when he turns up to the fight, because Tyr doesn't have the greatest matchup against Poseidon.
What's his thing, Ronnie?
Whirlpool combination of just crippling him out, forcing this is unable to be used. Zero's being looked at again, pulled into danger. Beads as he was pulled into the air. Cubo saw it, and Cubo connects with the Windfire Wheels once more. 160 a hit with Nika there for landing. Another kill onto Zeros, and the Pyromancer could be an option. Meanwhile, Deathwalker trying to keep the pressure rolling somewhere. I have no clue. It looks like he just ran over there.
I guess so.
Well, the pigs, I think that's what they're saying too. They're all Pingington. Hey, Tyr's over there, and look at Oni Warriors. They're going to group up in mid, push a Tier 1 tower, realizing they've got an advantage here.
He's already annoying me. He's already annoying me. Get the fuck out of here.
Tier 1 there eventually, but a Tier 2 in mid lane at this stage really makes it difficult for poor old Zeros in mid lane to come up mid and find some farm.
No bastions of safety, not even this tower now. Deathwalker lines up.
All right. We'll give him one more chance. We'll give him one more chance.
I've got a pretty decent fallback target here.
Dot is
to the pyro?
Level 19 at quicker than 19 minutes in the game. OG Smite players will know like a minute is pretty damn good. It's the best you could get, but at this level at Season 9, it's kind of
just stop typing.
Donis has found it here, and it's not coming at a detriment of the rest of his team at all. Maybe a little bit on Cuvo Fred, who's a level down on Johnny in the jungle, but Cuvo's doing a very good job facilitating.
I'm not even certain that it's affected Cuvo Fred in that way. Fred has made a decision to get active on map. It's not like the
Let me drink my coffee.
Canaton back camps. This is Cuvo Fred saying, hey, let's fight now. I'll sacrifice my farm. Let's get active. And he's done so beautifully. 1-0-6, 100%.
Anyone else says hello to me, I'm like, hi, how are you? Miggy says hello to me, ban.
Through this Naja. I think one level down, sure. It's not great. It doesn't feel great when you press tab, but it does when you look at the top of your screen and realize how ahead you are as an entire unit. The Oni Warriors in a very good position now.
You always gonna win.
They're still.
Why do I feel like that's sarcasm?
Entirely out of control. Experience, not so bad either. It'll close up very soon. You only tick the 20 once. A lot of that experience sitting on Dardes.
Gold Fury goes down the way of the Warriors then too, and you mentioned a little bit about kill participation or participation in the game. We've seen Deathwalker around, but he's 0-0-0 so
Thanks
far.
for the gifted sub.
He may need to start looking at loosening that tie because they need him to step.
All right, Mickey got me another sub. Time to ban his ass.
Johnny gonna find Cuvo Fred here. Cuvo loses half his health already, and the beads on his ultimate defense.
He served his purpose. He served his purpose. He increased my sub count by 1.
But both
Time to get him out of here.
Group up around the Fire Giant already. Do Hex Mambo go for this? They set up for it, man.
They could force in at least one. They got the TKO, so best case 5
sacrificial lamb.
Warriors. And they've already weakened Cuvo and Nika, both ultimates off. I'm not so certain you could actually pull the fire and leave it up to a coin toss, but face checking it, making sure the Oni Warriors are at least around.
No, do you guys know that Zeros is 2 years older than me?
I'm keeping my eyes on Cuvo Fred in particular.
And I'm old.
No bees, no ultimate. Won't have an easy time getting out.
So the dance is going to begin around the FG at 20 minutes in. Then Cuvo Fred back from base once more. No beads or ultimate available just yet. Johnny, meanwhile, will do a bit of split pushing on this left-hand side. He'll want to come to the fight late, and Warriors recognize this are going to go and commit. Blinking from Deathwalker to the back, looking towards Vote. Fields of Love did a little bit to zone him away as the Fire Giant goes the Oni Warriors' way. Tricks tank falls.
That's a good Fire Giant, bro.
The tanks are dead.
Bro, the Warriors took no damage.
You can't have Johnny on the left side of the map there. The second the Oni Warriors team on wave, let's get on fire. Let's go ahead and do it. It's simple from that position. You're already in a lead, so a 5 versus 4.
What do you mean 35? 6 years older than me. He's 33, I think.
Phoenix? I think the Warriors like their odds.
I think a lot of fans coming into this were hoping Oni Warriors would step it up come crunch time at this LAN, and so far they're
It's good to see the Warriors play well, though, man. They always choke in these events.
Towers, however, though, still on the rest of the map. A commit to the Titan at this stage, a little bit risky, but plenty of farm still available for them to go around and take and push out these lanes and spend some of this gold. How does Hex Mambo defend? Because honestly, when I'm looking at their composition, they're not great on defense.
No, they're not. It's the curse of non-standard mage. You haven't got the best ability to keep your minion waves out of Phoenix range, so it's more so about finding your fight.
Kill him, Johnny.
But it seems Johnny's the one that's been found.
Get him, Johnny.
Toss will connect and slow it, but the immunity from Johnny will save the day there. And you can say Cuvo will, argue he missed the Windfire Wheels intentionally there to set up for the sash after.
Bro, when I was 22, I put in my stream bio that I was 27, so people would take me more seriously.
A chance for them to, I guess.
And I'm like, I'll never hit 27.
A Tricks tank blink pluck. At the moment, though, Tricks.
I'll never have to check. I'm gonna hit 27. It's so far away. And now look at it. Now look at me.
A bunch of targets are coming up soon for the Oni Warriors. I believe it was that it said in the late
it just
game,
seems so far away.
Back and you pluck someone to burn their beads, you die, and it's never a valuable trade. Tricks tank at level 15. I mean, he could pluck just about anybody, and they probably won't die just yet. Still waiting on some massive power spikes from key targets on Hex Mambo. In particular, Zeros. We're waiting on a whole lot of penetration. It's been a while. It's going to be a while more until that Charon's coin is finished up. Johnny, though, has some stacks on the Rage.
They're 23. Holy shit. I noticed a couple gray hairs, Ronnie.
Given the opportunity, the Oni Warriors, they still need to execute on these sieges. Even if Hex Mambo haven't got the best composition for it, they still can fight back.
Well, I was going to say, it looked like the Mambo was setting up to defend that tier 2 tower, but with Trixtan returning to base, it was just more of a stance than anything else, as now Warriors continue to march down this left-hand side, have the Trebuchet behind them to just continue to pound into that Phoenix. And Deathwalker looking for an angle around the back, has been spotted out, though, in the jungle here by Neil and Nika. Deathwalker looking for a blink or a Lawbringer to try and get some of these carries. Dardes or Vote will be the focus, and you can see Vote's positioning there just a little bit further away to make sure if Deathwalker comes in, he can't get both the carries at the same time. They allow the Trebuchet to do a little work, and only Warriors surrender and head back.
Badass. I feel you, man.
Surprised to see them back up just then. Dardes and Vote just gained access to their beads in the last 3 seconds. Would have been a pretty decent opportunity to start pushing forward. Perhaps concerned about Johnny's positioning. Haven't quite seen him on map in a good while.
Having ADC in scrims is pretty stressful. Bro, if it was up to me, I'd never scrim the whole year.
Pyromancer spawning very shortly.
Maybe like once a week.
40 seconds left on your Fire Giant power
just to see what other teams are doing.
We can say it's methodical but boring, right? We want to see a fight.
I would love to see it personally, but why risk it? This is worlds on the line. The only Warriors, I think they're right to do it. And now, considering the timing of the Fire Giant respawn, we see this so many times.
Bro, you know why you don't need a scrim? Let me explain something to you, chat, why you don't need to scrim, okay? Because every other team in the league is trying so hard that they will literally figure out everything for you. All you have to do is look at what these teams do, and then you put it on paper, and you're like, okay, which guy's doing the best thing, and why? And once you figure that out, you go from there, and then you theory craft a little bit after that. See, is there anything better than this? No? Okay, you copy it. Yes? Then you do it. And that's that 1 day of scrims. And that's it. You don't need to do the work. You don't need to, you got 7 other teams doing the work for you. Why do you got to do it? You could just be chilling a whole week.
They are starting to edge their way.
One scrim a week. One scrim a week just to see.
The items are coming along too.
And that's it.
Chrome there now has that silver branch.
It's so easy.
On line 2. So the damage numbers will start to favor Hex Mambo the longer this game goes. If they can find
not stealing Metal Kick, it's copying.
A ways off from Zero's being at full strength. Though.
That's not.
2 levels,
bro,
even allowed to build it.
You guys don't understand. Like,
still a ways off as
thinking you need to like grind when you, bro.
For what feels like 5 minutes now.
Would you rather learn from your mistake, or would you rather learn from other people's mistakes?
Hex Mambo, I think, have to take the fight if they want to keep this Fire Giant out.
If you see someone jump off a balcony and breaks his leg, are you going to jump off a balcony and break your leg just to learn from your own mistake, or are you going to watch that guy do that and know that's a bad idea?
Frenzy pops early, in goes Deathwalker, gets the beats out of Boat as the field loves drop, the Kraken goes out, but Mambo gets the Fire Giant, a Kraken! Early again.
Mambo got it, but they're all like fucking dead.
His buddy Trix Tank, but the beads blocks it. The good news is Vote.
Horrible analogy? No, it's not.
And Cubo Fred finds Trix Tank. Only 2 members of Mambo have the FG, and they are bravely running away as the Warriors will head for this Phoenix in mid lane. Can they end with a 5-stack here against these two? I think they could. They don't have minions though, Myth.
Everybody's
the analogy is perfect.
Take a little while. No Fire Giant.
No ultimates up.
Neil's healthy. He can tank this Titan nearly indefinitely.
Warriors are trying to do this pre-30. Then they stare at Zeros and Johnny. Johnny has that Sonic Boom charge, but what can they do? Is Zeros gets pulled back in by Neil Mar.
Shit, Kronos is so useful.
And they are going to take game 1 after taking Johnny and Zeros at the end.
Kronos, baby.
Minutes in the game. Easy as pie, says Q as he walks out the booth there with the hand slap.
Against Hex Mambo. Is that enough, though? The one Naja ban, do you think that's enough to take away from the Oni Warriors' first game draft, or do you need to take away another piece or two?
I mean, I'm not concerned with
Void style's
really
too aggressive, too far of a dice for it.
Right?
No.
If your mental is shattered from getting Krakened, like
people in the SPL, they don't just play aggressive or passive. They play what they're allowed to play, like what the matchup dictates. Has nothing to do with their play style. Has to do with how the laning phase goes in picks.
Starts pulling relics, starts putting pressure throughout the map.
And pressure on the map.
And already loving this from Mambo, right? Ishtar is going to get some great pressure over in duo. Doesn't mean you're playing aggressive in the early, but you have that ability to say, hey, Johnny, don't run around.
If Rangu picks and locks sub at game 1 for you, what are your thoughts? My thoughts are finally a good support character.
We should look over towards duo lane.
Yep, Guan Yu It's good for Nika. I mean, Nika has been so
They look
important to this
nervous?
team.
They don't look nervous to me.
I really think, I mean, you look at the journey that the Oni Warriors have taken. Really, really tough year early on in Season 8. They all eventually got here, got things going.
They look like they're trying to figure shit out.
As a team. And Nika's really still been at the forefront of a lot of it, and one of the this Oni Warriors team.
No Mas, Kronos, no Mas, por favor.
Performance.
Ah,
Very difficult to kill off.
2-0 Warriors.
We're gonna give Vote one of his favorite picks as
2-0
well. In
Warriors.
Cernos. And Trelly, Ishtar versus CERN, that has been the ADC battle for.
Just pick the Baba Yaga, bro. That's your other pick.
And I'll hold this thought because if this Kronos gets locked in, I'm sure. I don't know if you're gonna have anything new to say, but you're gonna have something to say about it.
They're thinking about
Bro,
it.
one time Zeros came up to me at this bar we were at, and he's like, yo, you want to drink some whiskey?
They're thinking about it.
I never left his side the rest of the night.
Doing it.
We were just at the bar,
Okay, so
Anything, look.
dropping
You're
back
doing more than 4K damage this game.
Johnny
for sure,
Blacks.
if you're Zeros.
you better.
the whole night.
I'm
Don't
thinking
even remember what happened.
I mean, Hex Mambo are they're not dumb, right? They are very keen to say, hey, we have incredible
2-0.
late game pressure with the Fafnir, the Ishtar, and the Kronos. So something is going to have to bridge that gap. It's not the Mercury. That's not going to cut it. I want Johnny and Deathwalker on something that fights at like the second blue buff spawn. I don't even care if they invade.
It's just a little bit lacking.
Brawling in early. If not, we are not going to get to see what full slotted Kronos looks like. We haven't seen it yet, and we're not going to get to see it this game unless they're able to find some way to get to that position.
Right. A lot of it will lie at Johnny's feet then. This is an opportunity for the Oni Warriors now, especially in the second wave of bans, to take away some of that early potential from Johnny. If there are a couple jungle picks that really stand out to the Oni Warriors that Johnny can find that mid-game with, they might choose to take some of that away. Instead, it'll be Xingqian, which would have also felt good. I mean, Double Guardian plus Fafnir plus Kronos and Ishtar is a pretty tried and true composition. Maybe minus the Kronos, but plus another magical carry. And we've seen it plenty of times throughout the year this year. A Thor ban towards Cuvo Fred, who again will have to play something other than Naja for the first time in the 4 games we've seen the Oni Warriors play this weekend. And a mid laner for the Oni Warriors still needed as well. Guan Yu, CERN, Atlas here, Trelly. Is this begging for a specific type of mid laner in your opinion?
I mean, it honestly doesn't matter because of all the prot shred the Oni Warriors have already, right? The tanky targets of Mambo are not going to be tanky anymore. Guan's going to be shredding prots. Atlas is going to be shredding prots. It's just going to be someone who can follow up with that, and we know Dardes has such a deep god pool. It's difficult to even begin to ban him out. I mean, at the start of the season, you were thinking of things like the Morgan and the E-set. Now, I mean, Poseidon just ran through the whole team of Mambo, so that could be something they're trying to focus out on. It's not going to be easy to try and play through the mid. I'm imagining Nika on the Guan Yu could be a big threat. It's not easy to gank on Guan Yu because of that cavalry charge, and so far we haven't seen either of the characters that are going to be doing it, so yeah, they do just decide. Ban out Cuvo Fred. Cuvo's a little bit easier to lock down.
Dodgy's open?
I mean, he
No,
can
it's
easily whip
banned.
out a Hunter because of all the shred they already have.
Look how they banned Ravana. You see how teams know that Ravana is
Poseidon
OP?
has a great matchup into the Fafnir, and they could lock it down, and they are going to.
That's smart there, Troy. Yeah, I mean, who knows what Dardes is going to play half the time. He's played Harry, he's played Agni, he's played AMC a few times.
Dardes is like, yo,
played
keep giving me the
Kronos,
Poseidon. They're going to leave it open.
Dragons
Keep giving
during
it to me.
Phase 3 playoffs. Want to know how that one did?
I'm amazing. I'm guessing amazing because they're here, right?
Yeah, went 0-4.
Yeah.
Against the Jade Dragons. So
I
not
don't
a
know
great
IP.
history for Kronos.
Because this kid is broken.
In the last couple of games that we've seen it. But Hex Mambo did win with it
Thoughts on Kronos?
earlier in the weekend.
Not the pick.
And would love to win here in game 2.
That's a spawn of French
Guarantee
accent?
At least 4 games. You do not want to have to win 3 straight.
Grazie.
Warriors.
Wow.
All right, now the conversation was sort of mid-game bridge style of picks, help the team get there.
There it is. There it is. Finally,
Check that
Deathwalker.
box in your mind.
Should have picked the game
I love
one.
the Kakolin, first of all, because that is exactly what I was asking. Evo is a bit different because it is still that late game slanted mage. It still definitely gets bullied, but that's a fantastic matchup into Poseidon. I mean, you can really bully the heck out of Poseidon. Same with like Pele if you're not building that.
Good
tank
call,
style of
Shinto.
build.
Yeah.
Cuvo should get off to a great start and just try and run down Johnny. But if you are letting Evo get 5 uncontested, he can find a kill somewhere, right? I mean, you got to think that Nika's going to have to build physical defense. He's going to have to worry about the Kakolin. Then Hebo comes in and says, hey, you've got no magic prod. I'm going to try and one-shot you. That's always going to be an option. But I'm looking.
I'm curious how this Hebo versus Pele matchup is going to go.
Once he's in the air, Crushing Wave should be a guaranteed kill at level 5.
I'm trying to think about Johnny's history on Hebo, and in my brain, he's played it once.
The build I saw Johnny go yesterday is a really low damage build for first 3 items.
In that game. But outside of that,
like really low damage.
These physical carry style junglers, and he's looked good on them. In the past, it's been the Kalis, the Bakasuras, those types. That's how he really made his name, but has adapted quite nicely to whatever the jungle meta dictates at the time. For Hex Mambo right now, it might be that Hebo. Oni Warriors, they were able to group early, they were able to find pressure, and then just convert that into team fight win, into objective, and into game. Do you think the 5-stat composition they have here capable of doing the same thing if Hex Mambo had been asleep at the wheel?
Oh, absolutely. I think that if Cubo Fred gets off to a better start in the jungle than Johnny, he can run away with it. Because what's the one thing you want to do as Pele, close gap. As Hebo, when you're online, you also want to close gap, but they're going to be butting heads, and with Pele ahead, she just doesn't care. She eats Crushing Wave, Volcanic Lightning chases you down, and if Pele's
Are the Ravens out? No, they play tomorrow for the last spot.
Poseidon doesn't look nearly as good if someone else isn't pulling relics for you. So I'm thinking if Hex Mambo just sits back and says, let's see what Cuvo does, that's not going to be a great late game. They definitely should be trying to bring the pressure. Ultimate's online, level 5. That's what they're
Do you think holistically, though, I mean, you zoomed in on the, what was it, 4.2k damage that Zeros did on the Chronos in the first game. Holistically, do you think a better situation for Zeros now, seeing what the rest of Hex Mambo have drafted?
He's under the same amount of pressure as far as I'm concerned. There's going to be a Kraken coming
against the Eldritch Hounds.
The one shimmering ray of hope is you're not going to be taken up into the sky, landing into a Kraken. You can still
thank you, Bobo,
to try and live through the burst. It's just you're not going to be able to return that damage for a little bit.
Yeah, look, I mean, time's going to be of the essence, not only for the Chronos, but really Hex Mambo here. So often we talk about in these best-of-5 sets how quickly things can get out of control if you lose both Game 1 and Game 2. Hex Mambo need to avoid it. Oni Warriors, they're playing lights out. We'll see if we're all tied up or the Oni Warriors get a 2-0 lead with Hindu Man and Mifflin.
Ooh, Bobo with the 5 gifted. What's up, baby?
You were cringing your face up something rotten. What was that about?
Oh, I really didn't think you were going to expose me like this.
I am the master of exposing people. Well, that sounded really bad. I don't mean like that, but sure, go on, carry on.
It's not what I wanted out of the jungle. I mean,
welcome, everybody.
Faster than Mercury. Yes, weird statement again, but it really can get active at level 5. I think Trelly frames it very well.
Yeah.
Until 5, Habwa non-fat.
Oh yeah, the Gamba. Hold on.
I gotta in that exact same column.
Sure.
But targets into Dardes.
Who's outcome Warriors?
If you can catch Cuvo in the jungle.
New prediction. New prediction. New Gamba. Get ready.
It really is a coin toss between the two of them, which could win out on that fight.
And you asked for after Game 1, you wanted to see some sort of adaptation to this
guys
style of
have
Mambo.
1 minute
is that the adaptation
to get your bets in.
Expecting, because I'm guessing no. But is that sort of the same sort of transitional thing that you're going to be able to find with this Hebo?
It's a half step. It's a half measure in my mind. You can get active a little bit earlier, but
1 minute, get spend your points.
Down as a Habwa. You're not exactly creating the infinite amount.
I expect everyone to vote Warriors.
Assassin or Warrior could have done out of the jungle, but it will help out a bit, especially around some of those mid-game team fights. Like what did we seen from Johnny in Game 1? Falls behind a little bit, starts to spend a little bit more time in the jungle. And then split pushed for what, 5-6 minutes?
Yeah.
Habwa's not.
Who's winning?
Habwa is so integral.
It's 2-0 Warriors for sure. Only because Kronos is on the other team.
Well, there was some other adjustments too. As you can see, we do get the Fafnir for Tricksank this time. It was drafted earlier. Johnny swings around to the right-hand side early on, looking towards a gank attempt against Nika. But with Nika having lane pressure there, there's not going to be a whole lot to find. Instead, he'll do a bit of lane tax. Meanwhile, Cubo Fred's doing the same thing in mid lane for Dardes in this matchup. And when I do look at the compositions here, I do feel they've kind of drafted to deal with Dardes a little bit better in some of these team fights, specifically with the Hebo, like Trelly mentioned, and with this Kakulin too.
Yeah, you can immune the Kraken if he tries to drop it on you. Habwa not exactly in a situation where it's going to land unless it's Crushing Wave first. And if it's Crushing Wave first, well, it's free game for Dardes out of mid. So I'll be keeping my eyes on Johnny. Surprised to see this, though. He is stuck around in the soul lane. If I'm Deathwalker right now, I'm miserable because you're just falling behind by rote. Nika's going to have level 3, level 5 first. Not exactly ideal. It's good to get Johnny farm, but
I'm
do you really
considering,
want it?
is that because Deathwalker's not great in the laning phase at level 1 just with those 2 starter items against the Guan Yu? He's going to get pressured anyway, lose some jungle? No?
Warriors win this one, get reverse swept. Bro, it's true. Nika, Dardes vote, or Nika and Dardes are the most reverse swept
maybe it's safer
players in the league by a lot.
Finding reasons, you know?
We're finding them. Yeah, you don't want to let him get
Neilmar gets hit by the hammer and straight afterwards the back from Ikram on Ishtar. But look at both.
Ikram's got to know he needed 2 more autos there, man. Come on,
Ikram. Box me instead.
Could have had that maybe.
We'll get that disarm off. You can see this lane changing backwards now in favor of Mambo. Not only did they manage to get hold of that scroll, but with the Ishtar at around the level 2-3 mark, it's where she can really get dominant lane pressure. And guess who's here on site?
A purple invade. I could only dream. I could only dream about this.
Good luck getting it back from Ikram. Once you get some ganks coming this way, if Ikram maintains this level of confident positioning,
I don't know what that feels like.
I just think Ishtar's solid throughout the game. Whatever stage of the game, the biggest risk Ishtar really has is her escape, which is also technically an engage in some regard.
No, my whole team is invades our team effort.
Example, which we've seen a few times. That's the only danger.
Bro, I'm sitting. This is me in lane, bro. No purple invade, no coup, no mana.
Yeah, but your backflip escape,
no
like
hope.
Beat, for example, right? You don't
That's
have
me.
to make sure you hit it first of all to make sure you can confirm it. That's the kind of takeaway from that. But yeah, relatively solid all throughout. I think Trelly mentioned it. We've seen a lot. Oh, sorry, Dave did. We've seen a lot of this Kernanos up against this Ishtar, and it really is because, well, I guess Kernanos can give as good as he gets in this matchup to an extent and close that gap.
Has the ability.
Bro, I still don't even know what Ishtar's passive does, man.
Sustain a bit, deal with that poke potential that
I feel like if I knew, I could be a better Ishtar.
You have the ability to trade ultimates pretty easily. Ishtar can throw out hers with CC immunity, but if you use Wild Hunt reactively, you can prevent some of that follow-up damage that Ishtar is so good at with that stun. The 1v1, it still does favor Ishtar. I'm not going to mince words.
I feel like
you get more damage or something the more you get hit. Something like that.
Pretty decent.
Well, one thing in favor of the Mambo are here is if they do the Gold Fury like
Mambo number 5. Ooh, they caught his dash.
Damage output with Trix Tank on this Fafnir, and look at this. They're trying to go all in on
Neil.
He's
dead. He's dead. He's dead.
Beautiful. As Trix Tank secures not only the stun on landing,
the
stun after the fact and the breath is good. In credit, though, Ikram did a lot of work
Revenge
there
factor passive. I should be. Thank you.
Just perfectly canceling the dash. The second that dash was down from Neilmar, his life was forfeit. The chain CC combo, incredibly clean. Trix Tank times that ultimate transformation.
You quiz on Pat. Listen, bro, you don't sweat the small stuff, okay? You don't sweat the small stuff. It don't matter. It don't matter.
Neil says, well, I'm going to walk up. I want to get some of that farm, and gets punished for it.
And with that Ishtar, with that Fafnir, Hex Mambo is starting to play this game through the duo lane, cracking out from Dardas on this rotation. Didn't really connect as well as he would hope to on towards Ikram. The beads were consumed, however, as the scroll now being looked at. All the while, Cuvo Fred, however...
You know what the small stuff is? Like, oh, I don't know the passive. You know what all that is? That's copium for losing.
Not too detrimental.
That's what that is. Copium for losing.
The grand scheme of things, but it's still
that shit don't matter. Oh, I had the wrong build. That shit don't matter. That's copium for losing.
So far this game.
And even Ikram in losing the beads, it's not the same as game 1 where you're thinking to yourself, well, if Cubo Fred shows up, I just die. Fire Wheels is just going to kill me. There still is counterplay potential into the Pele. Use the ultimate to immune the knockup, dash away. You're in a pretty decent position. So Ikram, I think, a little bit more so willing to utilize that beads to steal away these purple buffs, to get some farm, use it as a resource rather than that ripcord safety.
Just having fun, man.
The best thing is, because Hex Mambo's dual lane's doing so well, it's taking attention away from Zeros on the Kronos in mid lane. And that's what Zeros wants. He just wants to farm. He'll see you in the late stages of the game when he's got that poly online, and will end up two-shotting you. Cuvo Fred takes away the right-hand Harpies now over towards the Scorpion, as Hex Mambo look towards there, but Nika is in the area, just keeping an eye on what's going on. And Zeros might need to be careful towards mid lane, but he does have Johnny coming round as Trix and Neil battle over those cups in the jungle.
Nika could be the difference maker in some of these early game fights. Guan Yu still has...
Bro, that 10% pen from Solier probably is so good on Cook Colin.
Easily, Kronos as well. That gap close with Cavalry Charge could burn through some of those resources. Again, it would be reliant on Cuvo Fred being there, which we haven't seen too much of him so far this game. But when you look at the itemization of Hex Mambo, it still is incredibly slow paced.
Oh yeah,
Book of Thought out of the
Schneelock.
jungle
Neil
and
could be in
mid.
trouble now because all of a sudden he realizes Ekrom's here and Johnny and Zero's on the rotation for him.
Neil,
We saw
man.
Neil consume the dash as he went through the
Oh
red
my
buff.
God, Kronos is
As soon as they see that, Hex Mambo
OP.
collapse and Neilmar gets picked off.
Finally,
relatively
Fred's going for
easily.
blue buff.
Yeah, Neil's
Finally.
just gotta dial it back. The timing of these picks as well, just not ideal. Both
purple
times
again,
now
yeah.
falls down. Purple spawns.
See how Deathwalker goes straight for the
He was
backs
just
because
trying
he
to-
knows he
was
can't
just
get the
trying to
blue.
check red buff was up. That's all he was trying to do, and you know.
Why? Are you trying to invade that red buff? It
Maybe,
looked like
maybe
anybody
after
else
pressure
was.
in mid, but not this time round. Now there's an invade though from Mambo on the red buff. Dardes will turn up to meet Kivo in the Trickster.
Look at this discipline. Oh, and he warded.
Deathwalker here. They were trying to catch him on a rotation out
Because
of the
he knew
jungle.
they were at
Won't
blue.
fight it this time. Instead, they have to relieve that pressure as Ekrom now has this one-level lead over Vote and around 10 stacks advantage too.
Yeah, good game sense from Deathwalker there. I mean, so many people just get caught out trying to rotate back in the
Would
lane.
you get caught out there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why are they camping back camps against me? I'm Cullen, but Deathwalker, a better man than me. able to
Intelligent
keep his
gamer.
life afloat there.
It's the
And as
suit.
we-
It's the suit. He's
The
got a
suit
full suit.
passive?
He's got a full suit on. You don't.
He's wearing a tie. How
You
can
should
he
wear
breathe?
a tie. Are you going to wear a tie at Worlds?
I mean, that's kind of up to you, isn't it?
Is it?
If it's up
Yeah,
to
you
me,
should,
no.
you should wear a tie.
Then there it is.
How about a bow tie?
No, absolutely.
How
That's your
how,
thing.
How about a bolo?
I don't think that's anybody's thing. I mean, when in Rome, right? If you're in Texas.
That's
I
a good
guess.
point. It's a perfect time. Okay, get your cowboy hat too. Dardes going to be a hammer.
Myth
out
would
of
look
Trix
fucking
Trix
swanky in a
walks
cowboy
back towards
hat.
Mid lane. Neilmar, 2 levels down at the moment over Trix. Tell a lie. It's 3 right now as Trix just hits level 8. And Neil will close it once more. But the 2-level discrepancy on support
Yeah,
is
he
kind
did.
of standard.
Brawley.
However, at only 8 minutes in, it's pretty detrimental. Cuvo, though, needs to be careful. Trix.
The Storm had really rough games.
Find the damage as much as he wanted to, but the hammer from Trix really forced the pressure onto Cuvo.
Kill
He's gonna
Dardes,
run
guys.
for his
Kill
life.
Dardes.
Whiffs the air with that Kraken, and his collapse to try and support his teammate that was out of
Good
position
stun.
could be in trouble too.
Nah,
Good
Dio's
on
got
Mika
this.
to the rescue.
Holy
Won't be
shit.
enough, though, to keep Dardes
Kronos is
alive.
oh, they're
And now
diving?
Mika could be under pressure as Trix tank, and with the rotation from Johnny coming around the back too, it's Mambo's turn to get a huge lead in this game in the early stages. We might just have a series between
Yo,
these two.
let's
Warriors,
go.
they're playing as a team right now. It's Cubo Fred caught out, and the entirety of the squad
Yep.
say, "You're not getting my jungler."
I got you,
Dardes
buddy.
runs in, Kraken's for peel, dies for it. Nika tries to peel out for Dardes, dies for it as well.
The domino effect is what I call that.
That
more than
is
anything
so
else.
tough. Hex Mambo, they're running away with it.
Could
And
call
now
him.
the
Could
Habwa
call him
is
broken, bro. No
huge.
cap.
He is now so massively threatening in the early game.
Good call him,
Boss
fucks.
starting to stack up, penetration in the next slot. Johnny could really start to make some moves on map. Even up against Dardes, we're starting to get to the point where there's one-shot potential. Johnny, in about 1 item from now, he's not going to need follow-up. He's not going to need zeros. He's not going to need tricks.
Good Colin always comes back at Worlds, bro. It's so
Water
funny.
spout, crushing wave, auto attack.
GG.
See you next time.
Yeah, exactly, Crimson.
Exactly.
People
Meanwhile,
realize
Zero's
he allows you to
once again,
fight.
Tail of the tape for him this game, specifically with the lead now over Dardes, but more importantly, 2 of those kills already. I guess
Alright,
he's probably
Ekrom.
got the same amount of player damage so far as game 1, but it's a much better position to be in the Kronos pick here as 10 minutes now approach. When do you go for the Gold Fury here if you're Mambo, though? That's where you're looking to try and extend the lead, right? You've got the Fafnir anyway, the Hebo in tow. Maybe it's after getting Neil in mid lane after a great knockup.
Holy
Neil
shit.
just can't find his footing in this one. I agree. Yeah, this would be a good time. You don't necessarily need to go for Gold Fury. I think Pyromancer a bit
Are
easier.
you saying that just because they went right? Is that
Well, I'm
why?
saying it because Vote's
What's happening
like
here?
alive on left,
Well, it
and
looks
you've
like they're
already
trying
got the pick in mid.
Maybe
Greater
go
Scorpion?
Cheeky Greater Scorpion. They were kind of sniffing out Cuvo more than anyone else. You saw Cuvo recognize the danger.
We
as
could
did
do
Nika
something,
there.
surely.
Well, they're kind of dancing around and it's buying time for Neil to come back to
Aren't
the base again and get the defense on. Instead, it's relieve all the pressure. Although Trixank a little bit aggressive in that mid lane. Dardes pathing relatively safely towards the left-hand side there. Trix in mid now hits level 10, equal to the jungle out of Oni Warriors, and that's when it starts to hurt, when the support is equal level to the jungler. It's the greatest time in the world as a support player, let me tell you. But as a jungler, you don't want to be in that spot.
Yeah, Trixank obviously playing with confidence. When you're willing to leap to stop backs, that's when your Trixank is making a statement. Nobody's a threat to me right now. You could drop whatever you want. I've got the safety of my ultimate. Cloak of the Ascetic still available as well. Gauntlet of Thieves fully stacked up to the 13 stacks of Neilma as of now. Oni Warriors are playing without a support. They've got a more mobile, tankier minion on the map
A
right
walking
now.
ward.
A
is
walking ward.
One of the best ways you could put that. Scorpion was looked at again there by Trixank for a second. but there is a ward down for any warriors out there, Greater Scorpion, for safety. Still no Pyro looked at, but Cubo Fred might find a bit of action here against Echrome. Vote doing a good job of baiting this fight out. Takes a good trade of roll. Echrome's backflip is good, but it's not good enough to get away from Cubo, and that's a defense of the purple buff too, as Cubo makes a good
That's a good gank by Fred. That's a big gank. Come on, Echrome, gotta be disciplined.
Turn of Ishtar. Johnny maybe could look for a bit more here with the water spout. Lets this one go.
Gotta be disciplined, Echrome.
Confirm this one for
Team's
himself.
not there, bro.
That's the concern with Ishtar.
Yeah.
You start to build your lead.
I would never.
I
would never.
You're winning the 1v1. Votes locked in his tower. Cubo Fred takes notice. Ever the veteran can alleviate a bit of that pressure.
Feel kind of bad for Echrome there, because we saw Vote do the same thing on Cupid in the first game, and his boys turned up in seconds and slapped down. That situation, completely different situation, where Oni Warriors once again collapse and no backup found inside for Echrome there. No calls of where that jungler was. Ward coverage wasn't great. A little bit of an overextension as the confidence grew. Now Trix transforms again. Looks towards Donis.
Oh!
Late in the mid lane. Finally, the Greater Scorpion, the battle that the Hex Mambo had been after for the past few minutes, has now gone down in their favor. Still no look at that Pyromancer, though, which I think would have been an option here, especially with Trix being in that Fafnir ultimate. Could have given it some extra burst of damage.
A little bit more damage from the Fafnir ultimate. You've got potentially best confirmation on map from Johnny right now. Crushing Wave likely does beat out Kraken, but even then, Kraken's so low range that he would have to put himself in danger to look for a steal. As
Cripple connects on Echrome, and Echrome under a lot of pressure to dash him from Vote. If the dash was still up, it would have been a different story.
Snuggle time.
Cubo Fred was in the wings, and the ultimate will be good enough. One more hit will do it as Cubo Fred secures the kill. And Trix Tank can't bring down Cubo Fred in response there. Has to watch as Echrome falls again, just trying to place a ward.
See Fred pop off, bro.
Fred found his lane. He found where he needs to be if he wants to see something go in. 2 now for the Oni Warriors.
That feels so bad if you're Echrome, bro.
Not pushing their lead. This could come back to bite them.
I agree.
They do have a phenomenal late game scaling composition, so they don't necessarily need to concern themselves in the early. But when you've got a lead like they did, it was what, 35, creeping up on 4K at one point. Maybe you do want to start looking at some of these objectives.
And look at this instead. Warriors trying to close that gap once again. A window opened up at the Fury. And obviously with Neilmar there on that Atlas too, the Shred going to come into play. And a quick objective taken by the Warriors there. I agree with you. I do think they've got laurels to rest on here, Mambo. But in doing so...
Yeah, it is on Echrome. He's got to be safer.
Make mistakes. It's okay. We are a late game team. But why give them that window?
And if you leave that window
Pele is so good into gods with dashes.
The opportunity.
Because
Gold Fury
thieves.
that's still alive, that's right to be taken. And the Oni Warriors do exactly that. Hex Mambo still nursing a slight lead. Don't need to ring the alarm bells just yet. They still are in a vastly superior position. Their composition scales much harder. I don't think you're so concerned just yet. And with Pyromancer, it should lead back.
Could have been a couple of minutes attempts at this with Pyro before, but here it goes down again. But who's going to get it?
Oh my God!
Just about at the tail end as Nico
That's pure luck
to pick that one up and allow it to be secured. So gold view for Pyro across the map. 2.5k gold lead just under for Hex Mambo at this moment in time. The experience has drifted down though. You can see people starting to catch up. Obviously, Neilmar being the furthest behind is now a level behind Trix Tank. And that's some of the catch-up mechanic for the lowest level in the game, managing to find that far.
Just a little bit more. Neilmar, though, significantly behind in build still. Every single bit of damage from the Oni Warriors will come off the back of CC.
Dude, this Fafnir is actually invincible.
Red, Nika, Vote, all starting the fight with some form of CC that will proc that Spirit Shroud passive. A little bit of additional percentage defense always goes a bit of a ways. Neilmar, on the other hand, doesn't exactly have that opportunity. We're sitting on Gauntlet of Thieves and Thieves alone. Still very susceptible to some ganks. I'm thinking Johnny should probably start getting.
Bro, I was gonna say it's probably a niche. Kind of just up to the player.
That burst potential is there that we were talking about earlier, and Zero's got Poly. Could be good.
I was about to say who's the target, but Darda's just found the target. Blinking from Johnny now.
So
he avoids the slug, and the chase is on as the water hands connect.
Wow.
Really clean kill. And
the way he did an ult there was really well played.
Because he knew he wasn't escaping.
Yeah, even if you Aegis the water cannon, you're getting slammed by Crushing Wave.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're making the mental arithmetic, is my
well
Aegis
played.
worth this ultimate?
Sheesh.
Answer's no. Answer's no every single time. So
Sheesh.
Rightfully
Cubo
so.
Fred, they're going to try and look at Johnny, but Johnny found a beautiful knock-up to dissuade Cubo going in. Now Cubo...
Oh! Pele movement speed outran that hammer.
Tower should fall down to zeros here with one basic. So if Dardes is falling there, they lose a tier 1 tower and the red buff on this left-hand side. Unless Neil can stop it here, a little bit too late to the party.
Man, the Hex Mambo are
Hex Mambo got the
so
pressure
well
back.
on map right now. Nothing really
Hebo, I guess, kind of
farms
farms Poseidon. What was Poseidon supposed to do with the Hebo?
Maybe even taking that
Hebo
0
completely
tower,
counters
back and
Poseidon's
fight
kit
Dardes
when you think about it.
Could just hold that wave at his own tier 2, make it a bit more difficult for Zeros to farm up. But if that's the case, it opens the door for Zeros to start rotating.
Yeah.
And if this were game 1, we're not worried about it, because Zeros is still level 14,
But
doesn't really have any items.
Polynomicon now.
He's got Polynomicon, he's got Divine Ruin, both his relics still available, hasn't been forced to rewind a single time this game. Zeros is a threat on map. He can take about just any 1v1.
It's funny when you look back at the last couple of minutes, though, how important that Gold Fury was for the Oni Warriors to hang in this game almost. Because straight after that, the tier 1 falling just there. This could have been a much further lead for Hex Mambo at this stage of the game here. But they need to start transitioning or look to transition soon. I think they're happy at the moment to just keep farming.
Let's go to a game 3, 1-1. I'd be really happy.
But it's buying Warriors a bit of time, too, to try and recollect themselves and find one good team fight.
And the itemization differences aren't massive.
No.
I think Mambo have a really good shot. I mean, the Scarabs look good too, though.
The Hex Mambo sitting on a good deal.
So it's going to be good.
For Zeros.
I mean, we'll see who wins this set.
Goes a pretty long ways. I'm excited to see where Zeros goes with the build. Doesn't necessarily generally go towards the auto attack items. He's not a ring Chronos. Likes to play it a bit more in that standard mage column. Get that full value of the Polynomicon power stack. So it could be the rest of this build a bit on the expensive side. Whereas the Oni Warriors, they're about on par in itemization for now.
Trickstank trying to do a bit of milking in the jungle there, away from that totem. Pressure on from Cubo Fred, who's kind of been zoned onto this left-hand side, worried about the pressure onto Vote at the moment. Chrome and Vote going to go at it for a second or two. Chrome really misplayed that with the dash in, but will it be brutal for him? It will now, as Cubo Fred's in, but so is Johnny. And Johnny and Vote both going to fall down as the rotations come through.
Oh, nice stun.
Suck a trade that cost them both their lives. Now it's Cubo Fred under threat, but not a whole ton of damage. Really came through there onto Cubo Fred, who will.
I didn't account for the Johnny Hebo being this legendary.
Unless he needs to, maybe saving it as a disengage tool. And who needs it? Yeah, Water Cannon's doing enough. We call Habwa the god of 3 ultimates because every single one of his abilities just does massive numbers.
3 ultimates, but I mean, honestly, the Atlas of the Yellow River is one of the most underrated. It's been nerfed a couple of times now, thank goodness. But that wet paper is very strong.
I agree. I said the same thing to the pros in the lobby the other day, and they laughed at me, so I'm not going to say it anymore.
Listen, pros don't know what they're doing. Listen to Twitch chat. They know.
Okay. You think Twitch chat thinks Atlas of the Yellow River
Anyone
is
not
like
playing this competitive is better.
Okay. All right.
That's what you need to know.
Understood. All right. Atlas of the Yellow River, he's the god of 4
These guys
ultimates.
just get paid for a living to do this. These guys are just trying to get to Worlds for this, and Zeros has to get off a rewind to survive that mid lane gank attempt. No crack and consume, though, from Dardes on that rotation, but he does keep Zeros honest for a second. That rewind now not available means that if he gets caught out again, the beads of Aegis will have to be used.
Well, we haven't seen so much attention from the Oni Warriors towards Zeros. Even in game 1, where the Oni Warriors are dominating, it was around the periphery. It was play through the side lanes, force Zeros to rotate into you.
Yep.
It was never actually just run at him, perhaps because Chronos is so safe with the ultimate and the relics. So we'll see whether or not the Oni Warriors can make use of that burnt rewind. It'd be difficult. The tools that they have, you gotta get through the relics first, I'm thinking.
Fury back up, Primal Fury this time round. Trickstank in the Fury pit at the moment with some deep wards in to keep an eye on Dardes there. Johnny Zero's Ecrom now rotating in, and the burst could come through. Taking into account they do have this Fafnir, Neilmar and Dardes on C. They're the only ones around.
Nice.
And in seeing that themselves, they're like, nope. Nika's in base. Kuro's on the right-hand side. Hex Mambo take it easy.
Ben is just too squishy, man. He dies so fast.
I'm thinking rotate Pyro, rotate
If he built him full damage.
The biggest change that Mambo made was picking Fafnir earlier and not allowing Warriors to ban it away in the second phase. And this is the destructive power that can bring. Kubo might go for a steal attempt, just a little bit too late on scene. And even if he goes for that, he may end up falling to Deathwalker, who was rotating in as well for the safety feature. Dardes now level 18 though, working towards his Soul Reaver next more than likely. Those Charon's coins now online for majority of these mages means they're going to zoom a little bit quicker once they get those stacks online.
And they deal with tanks a bit quicker as well. 20% penetration will help you out in situations like that. I think Hex Mambo in a position now where any fight that comes their way is a good one. So you want to force fights. The only way to do it really is grouping up on towers. Generally, we'll see it in mid, but Zero's already dealt with it.
Yep.
So instead, Fire Giant could be a target. Oni Warriors, on the other hand, they've been willing to let go. The
Rings are trash, yeah.
The gold. you can't let any more go.
You just build him as a mage.
Really veer out of control.
Neil takes half his health, but watch out for Cuvo around the back looking for Zeros there. Kraken comes through too. Zeros gets the Beakers Aegis off to stay alive.
How does he not ult when the Kraken hits, bro? I don't understand.
Deathwalker gives the chase. He roots onto 2. Guan Yu for some peel to help out and sustain. Neil's still running and will get escape. Darnes a different
How does Zeros not ult when the Kraken misses him in the center?
And will bring him down. And Nika has to limp
Bruh.
back to his tier 2 tower. 4 members strong here. Mambo may look towards his FG.
I'm actually
Still has
confused.
ultimate, no Kraken for the Oni Warriors, at least for 40 seconds. Means best confirmation is on Mambo. It's Tricks taking first.
And beads down on Vote. The follow-up damage is pretty solid from Echrome, but if he's following up with damage, no one's doing the Fire Giant, which is then reset. So the presence of the Warriors there, just enough to persuade and dissuade, I should say. Hex Mambo from...
He didn't need space because they used every cooldown.
Zeros and Dardes.
Basically, him Aegising gave time for them to get cooldowns, catch up to him.
Absolutely.
Still, yeah.
I mean, that fight not in their favor. Zero's worth more, to be sure.
That's
but
crazy.
Any engagement still is one that Hex Mambo should likely be looking towards. It's a late game scaling composition. Both your late game scalers
Void Shield? Wait, what? Void Stone? What am I looking at here, Oxy?
Level 20. You're not aiming much higher than this.
Oh,
You're
Void
already
Shield.
allowed.
Ah,
So
I
Hex
see.
Mambo, it's a victory
You
lap.
just don't understand Deathwalker.
Up until this point to put themselves
Momoke,
in
thanks for
position
gifting
the
Oxy a
Warriors.
sub.
It's going to take some heroic plays from individual members, I think, to separate it. Nika in particular, I brought him up earlier,
yeah.
could be a major disruption factor in these team fights. Zeros, Johnny, both going to have to really respect that stun presence from Cavalry Charge. The follow-up damage, a bit lacking, though. It's not ranged artillery from your mid laner. It's not ranged artillery from Vode. It's more so mid-range massive burst. But putting yourself in that position is going to be difficult.
Mambo with a trebuchet pushing down the right-hand side will commit to the FG. It's bursting down quickly, below half health already. Quick reset out of Mambo, though. Trick's still going to hold it, but the team is just waiting patiently. Deathwalker zoning away. Looks for the carries in the back. Eats a Kraken, loses his life, but the FG goes the way of Mambo. Trick's tank now on the run. Chrome needs to watch his position and dashes away. Cuvo looking at Johnny, who blinks away from the danger area. 4 members of Mambo with the FG. They lose Deathwalker, but they got what they came for.
And losing Deathwalker's just fine in a situation like that. He's not even the one that's necessarily going to be tanking up the structure, so the HP...
Were the Warriors at Worlds last year?
The loss would come here. If you stick
I
around
don't
and defend,
remember.
you can't defend with your lives.
Viv Dendi, thank you so much for the prime.
Oni Warriors take 1 tier 1 and back themselves up. Perhaps the best they could.
Oh, they lost to the Scarabs, right?
Hex Mambo, wait 20 seconds. Deathwalker's back on the map. And your siege is good. We talked about how maybe these unorthodox mages not great on defense.
Jeez, that damage.
Yeah, they're great on attack, by the way. Polynomicon, plus
Yeah, we did play-ins last year. I love doing play-ins.
short work of these towers.
Well, now it's all about where do Mambo try and siege up? Which towers do they try and take down?
Reverse swept and 3-1 by the bugs. Sheesh.
Pretty much getting close to completion now for a lot of them. You can see.
Hey, those guys love to get reverse swept, man. I hate to say it, but Nika Dardes, man, they love to get reverse swept.
Against the FG for this team, Towers and Phoenixes will not last long.
No, they won't. Oni Warriors, I don't think, really in a position to defend on tier 2s. They can put up soft
I got a roll
defense,
swamp.
but
I
the
could have
initiation of
last
Mambo
year.
is so fast, the damage output so
Could have won
quick
Worlds
as
as a jungler, but
that it's very dangerous.
was it meant to be?
Tier 2, you forfeit your Phoenix. Oni Warriors showing a bit of presence here.
Yeah,
they've got eyes on Deathwalker in mid.
One of the issues they've got for the Warriors here on defense is like, where's their counter engage really? It's very telegraphed there. We're going to defend because we have to run at you. Nika's going to blink on Guan Yu into you and tell her assault. Is that your hope? Are we looking at maybe the
I don't want to
Atlas,
jungle
just
anymore.
running at you to try and set someone up? And if you see
I only
that,
wanted to
Mambo
jungle
might be able to just
last year because
hard-held
ADC
fully
was
held
miserable in
someone
Season
before that even
7.
happened.
Season 7 was one of
Blink
ADC's
Tower
worst
Assault,
years.
Blink instant
Dealing with
cancel
double
Cavalry
Thorns
Charge,
Blink.
get like a
I didn't
double
want to
stun.
play the game anymore, bro.
That's not
So
bad.
annoying.
It's
It
a
sounds cool, but the tier 2 tower
Now ADCs are
gonna
good.
Get whittled down very quick. Trick's like happy to tank that up. Hammer connects with Neil, and Warriors just soft defense. The tier 2 stand at the Phoenix line. Johnny showing his base in there shows the pressure is immediately relieved on this left-hand side. And Warriors, knowing that, are going to charge through the jungle and look for any...
Chill, they're not broken. What?
Just checking.
Calm it down. Calm it down.
Nika can't stand up here alone. Doesn't necessarily win any
Mystical
fights,
procs Tainted? Yeah, I don't even know how to proc
Ever the
Tainted.
veterans trying to find what they can do in a losing situation. A Pyromancer, a consolation prize in the truest sense of the word. It is
I don't even know
not
what
exactly the most valuable thing.
Tainted does. No
But
cap.
any
No
small
cap.
win in a situation like
here.
this.
Vote is going to look for it. Won't manage to find the cripple there. Instead, pressure relieved. Meanwhile, right hand side just farming up.
Or because this, no, it's not because of that,
Well,
because the
FG
starter is
though,
so
the
bad.
momentum is
That's why
really
Shinzo's
left
so
remaining on
bad.
that
But we
book
have
at
to
the
go
moment.
it because it
Did
makes
they
us
gain enough
tanky.
worthwhile out of it?
Or we would just
I
die
think
so
so. I mean,
easily.
I think they got tier 2 in mid here.
Still have a full minute with the Fire Giant
True.
as well. Anybody gets picked, it's a Phoenix. I mean, I don't even think you necessarily need Fire Giant. I mean, look how quick that was.
Yeah, I mean,
that was half of
proc,
it.
100%. I think the interesting thing there was Warriors kind of all rotating.
I'm still a Gilded Arrow stand, bro. Gilded Arrow. Oh,
option. Instead, they lose a little bit more of their jungle.
That's
As
another
now
one.
Mambo can start looking for this right-hand tower. With Tricks Tank around, they could just backdoor it.
Yeah, backdoor protection still there. Minion wave not so far behind them, but Oni Warriors have not got a horse in this race. Tier 2 falls down again. Trick's freaking me out a little bit.
He's aggressive.
Alone?
He's aggressive. He's a Fafnir, though, so, you know, he'll...
Yo, Chicks was like,
You
yo.
see him in his
He
camera.
looked at his boys.
He's like, where you going, boys? We should be fighting. It's like NFG. What's going on? Like, Tricks, listen, dude. FG's wearing on
That's
soon.
hilarious.
We've got
I
items
can't
to
believe
buy.
that.
I love his face.
He's
cam,
like,
though.
he's
That
like,
camera's
yo,
great of him, like,
where you
why
at?
did you
That
come
was
over
the
me?
most
He's so
genuine
upset.
surprise.
He's still like, I just wasted Relic for that for no reason.
Hey, it's okay. If it wasn't like, what is it, a 10,000 gold lead, he jumps in and he dies. And then maybe Fire Giant goes the other way.
I was going to say, I think it was even funnier to see what the Oni Warriors did there too, who kind of respected it for a second of him going, wait, he's running at us, his rest of his team
Yeah,
disappears
who's hiding in the jungle right now?
But we need to be a little bit careful here between the two.
I don't think they need to be careful, but we had perfect information. They didn't. You know, no wards in the jungle right there. So
Sure.
I suppose some trepidation. If a Fafnir is running you down like that, you got to think, especially if it's Tricks Tank, he's got a plan.
Yeah.
He didn't, but you got to think he does.
Quick pause coming through here. I'm going to guess that it was Zero saying he didn't hear the call from Tricks Tank, that
gotta
he was
check the
going in there.
comms.
So they're just going to check the comms, I expect, between the two. This series, though, I mean, this is World Championships on the line. Guarantee you to go live in Texas, first of all. Big game between these two. And if you were one of the teams watching on, would you want to face one of these two teams at Worlds? Who
No.
would you choose?
If I had to choose between these
Oh,
two,
yeah.
X Mambo.
You'd rather face X-Mambo?
They're playing Chronos, you know.
But
like nobody else is
Deathwalker's in
doing
a
that.
suit, dude.
Yeah, and he did say the rest of them are going to buy suits.
It's like Reservoir Dogs all walking in there together.
Yeah, or like a Boondock Saint situation,
Ooh,
maybe.
Good reference too.
I'm dodging Hex Mambo.
We're stalling for
It's mental
time
damage.
because we're bored too. We want the game back just as much as you. We'll be back with it as soon as we can. But at the moment, it's currently looking like Hex Mambo are going to tie us up at 1-1 here. A lot of people, maybe at home, didn't necessarily expect
Like
this.
Motherfin' shirt?
Europeans amongst us, sure. You guys would have. I know. I've been
I didn't.
reading the tweets.
Oh.
Did you not expect this? It was a
No.
3-0 today for you.
I really thought so. Oni Warriors are looking like the best team in the tournament. Everybody.
I think it fits his style, but I personally wouldn't wear it.
Mambo would have admitted it too, but looking like they can bleed right
But I
now.
think it fits
if
his
you're
style.
an Oni Warriors fan, though, for the most part, you've gone through some trepidation of watching this team over the past couple of years really try and find their footing. And honestly, they've not shown what we expected this team could do. You've got
Guys, should I go
great
eat some
caliber
Pringles
players,
or what?
Former world champions on this as well, alongside Dades and Nika, who just haven't found the wins that they've wanted to throughout the year and done as well as we wanted. But now, maybe the time will do it.
Could be.
Bro, I've been such a fat
Fire
boy the
Giant
last week, man. I've been
usually
drinking
Oni Warriors.
beers,
You can see
eating
it reflected
Pringles.
in their idea of we need wards
I know,
all
but
over the fire.
My concern
That's such
now,
a fatty
is
boy.
what you're looking for a bloody Kraken at the FG again. How many times?
Well, actually, I had two
have we
things of
seen
sweet
games
and
where
spicy
Kraken
barbecue,
or FGs go
wavy.
wrong?
I think
Look,
those are the best
It's
Pringles
not
by
even
far.
necessarily you need Kraken to land it and steal fire.
Yeah, I
You
I
need
still go to the
show
gym, man.
face So
I
that
go to the
Hex
gym.
Mambo feels threatened enough
Yep.
to use their
All the
own
time.
abilities on fire. If Johnny feels like I have to crushing wave this or it's a coin toss, then you can maybe punish Johnny on the tail end, find a pick, slow down the Fire Giant siege. It's about forcing errors by showing presence. If the Oni Warriors don't step up here and Hex Mambo take fire
Brandon,
for
yeah.
free, the siege comes easily.
FG is spawning right now. A minute and a half until the enhanced.
Bro, the first week after the new year, the gym was packed. And I went there yesterday, and it was like half the amount of people.
Turns his hat backwards.
Could happen. Won't take too long for him to burst it down, especially with that polyplot. Keep an eye on Nika and Cubo.
It really ended early.
Trickstack trying to keep Vote honest and jumps on Nika to keep him in combat and avoid that blink. But the presence of Warriors alone, as you were kind of asking for, has dissuaded Mambo for a second. FG regenning. Mambo.
Let's
back
go
into
wards
pit.
by the Warriors.
Wards. They've got one round the back on Zeros and Johnny there, so they do have vision of these carries. And the Warriors are just slowly watching this get whittled down.
Fire Giant burning quick. Execution
Nicely
Mambo
done.
take it for themselves. The Oni Warriors, it's not time to fight anymore. You got to get out.
Run for your lives, boys, because Deathwalker's here, and a great knockback actually prevents Neil from hitting everybody. Kraken was a party Kraken to celebrate the victory of Mambo here. Nika will take out Echrome, who split from his team. Trickstack now.
Oh, 800
to secure the kill on Dardes. Cubo will next fall. And finally,
GG, let's go. Yo, Hebo's insane. Huge initiation. Yeah, that's Cook Colin, baby.
Four-man army. Mambo are going to be tying this up 1-1
Good calling, baby.
of it. And that was relatively strange for me to see them all watch the FG go down and then get caught.
Guys, an extremely rare thing happened today. Ronnie,
it's Zero staring at it.
Ronnie was correct over me. This might be the first time it's happened all year.
Hex Mambo absolutely outpaced the Oni Warriors here in Game 2, an inverse of Game 1. And with a composition that is
all right,
not necessarily
boys.
built for it. Hubwa Jungle certainly
That was a great game.
Mercury,
I'll pay you. Oh my, only 30% of you voted Mambo?
really got the better
Dang.
I really
Mambo
don't
about
even
to
feel like it was a
eat
jungle
good
match because
tonight.
the jungle stayed away.